Hi everyone, this will be a dreams tutorial on sculpting techniques and tips that you can use. Okay, just make sure everything's on. Okay, so to start off with, we're going to place a sculpture. Now, a sculpture is basically a 3D object that you can create by merging shapes together. So to start off with, we're going to go to the top line here and press X to select modes. And we're going to the first one, which is sculpt mode. Now this gives us a lot of tools. Well, basically the first thing we can do is we can choose the type of pen. Oops, 1 second. Off this. Yeah. So basically the first option we have here is we can choose the particular brush or pen we're using at the tip of the imp. So you can see we have a square, all these different kind of shapes that you can use. And you can also rotate them around by holding L2 and moving the left stick. And it rotates it like so. If you use the L2 and the right stick, you can turn it. And you can do that with all different shapes. Okay, so basically you have options up the top here. By pressing L1 and square, we can get an option to edit. I'm going to show you another way of doing that now. So we have all our shapes here, okay? So what we can do is, we can go in down the bottom here to edit shape. And if you press X on this, it's basically going to let you actually edit the particular pen we have or the brush we have. So we can stretch it and make it a different shape. Okay, or we can stretch it sideways. We simply move over it and hold down R2 and then drag it. And that will actually stretch the shape to a different shape. Okay. On this one here you have blend. So what you can do is you can increase the amount of blend. So one shape will blend into another shape. Okay. And this one here will basically change the fleck looseness, if you like. So it basically makes it less or more loosely compact, the way it's designed. And the reason you would put that in it is if you want to reduce the thermometer, you can lower down the fleck density, and so that will be very high with the thermometer, and that will be more or less less thermometer, should I say. Okay. You also have another effect here, is this one, varying looseness. If I click this on, and then if I go to the top of it, you can see, maybe I'll make it a bit less so you can see better. You'll notice that in the center is the flecks that make up this shape are very loose, whereas as it get nearer the edge, they get tighter and more like it would be if there was none on it. That's the same there, you can see. We can reduce it down. It's actually very good for doing like wood effect, like trees. Okay, so we can turn that off at the moment. Okay. Also we have an option here for putting a hole. Certain shapes will have a hole in them. So if I can increase that, you can actually make a hole and make it bigger or smaller. This one here will basically cut the shape in quarter and half, like so. So you could draw with that shape if you wanted. Okay, now I'm basically going to go back on the normal shape for a moment. If I press L1 and circle, I go back, circle again. I'm going to select a different brush by going up here. Okay, so I'm going to pick the square for the moment. It's basically just a square. Okay, now when I'm drawing, you notice this is freehand, so it's basically I can draw like every time I stamp down, I press R2 or X to stamp it down. Now the reason it won't draw in a continuous line is because if I press the square button, go to the top here, tools, there's a couple of different modes. This one here will let me stamp, which is basically clicking one every time I press R2. Or if I did this one, it would let me like just draw a continuous block, which is very handy if you wanted to do, say, like a piece of ground. So you kind of just make mountains or whatever, different shapes. Maybe if you pick a different shape, go over here, go to this one, where is it, this one here, pick like a mountain shape. You can make various mountains in the background if you wanted, by simply holding on R2, and you can draw with it. So left stick to, or D-pad to the left, basically delete the last thing you've done. So you can delete all these. Okay. Now the thing with this mode is, where is it now? When you're on this particular mode, this won't let you blend shapes together because it's basically it's freehand drawing, if you like. Whereas this one here will let you actually blend two shapes together. So I click this X or R2 to place, like so. I go to this one here to edit the shape, and if I increase the amount of blend, it's literally going to let me blend two shapes together. So that'd be one thing I could do. Okay. So now when I have the shape done, what I can do is I can turn on the grid. So if I go over here and click on this option here, grid snap, I can make it smaller. Now when I try to draw a shape, it's automatically going to be drawn on the grid. If you like, it's going to follow a grid. So which is very, very handy. Like if I wanted to do walls, say for example I was to select a square, I'll make it smaller, or make it bigger, sorry, increase this. Now literally you can see it's basically going to if I try to stamp it down, it's going to let me draw, but it's going to actually put it on the grid, like so. And basically what it's doing is it's selecting the center point every time of the actual shape. And the way you can change that is, if I go into this one here, go to here, you can change the point that the tip of the imp will grip. If I go here, it'll show you the shape you're using. If I had a different shape, it would show you that shape. And you can basically choose, simply by moving over and pressing the X, you can choose the point at which the imp grabs this particular shape. Now it can be handy because if you want to line it to a grid, see the way that grid is there, if I just have it as it is, press the circle and try to stick it, it's going, because the imp is the grab point in the center, that dot is basically the center point in that square on the grid. So if I could do this, I could go to select this one and go up to the grab point, change the grab point to the side here, like so, and come off it. Now you notice it's going to snap it to the grid this way. So that can be very handy if you need to do a precise position, something precisely, like a puppet. So if you could put the grab point on a puppet on the very bottom of the puppet, and it literally, it's like you grabbing the bottom of the puppet and lining it up to the grid, if you need. Okay, up and down on the D-pad will let you make smaller or bigger. Now I personally would like the grab point in the center, so what I'm going to do is go back here, go to select my grab point. Now you'll notice it's in 3 dimensions, so literally you could grab it in the middle of one side, at the top, but I want to grab it right in the center. I move over the very center and press X, and that makes the grab point literally in the center of the shape that I'm using. So there you are, so having grab point. Okay, now there's some nice little techniques you can do. I'm going to delete all these for a second. D-pad to the left. Okay. Now what I can do is I can blend shapes together, as you know, but I can also do various techniques like copying and basically editing the shape. So what I would do is I'm going to pick a nice shape to do this technique with. Say this one, fill donut. Okay. Now what I can do is if I place this down, X, and then grab it and make a copy of it. So I place it with the X button or R2. Now I grab it, hold down L1 and R2 to make a copy. And now if I have an option here where I can press the D-pad left and right, and it's going to basically copy it as many times as I want. Now I'm better off to show you this technique from far away. So I'm going to move away from my shape. Okay. Now I have the grid on at the moment, so it's basically going to snap each of these shapes to the grid. So I'm going to turn it off temporarily, like so. Okay. And if I go over this one, copy it, and if I press the stick to the left, it will basically draw a load of copies or a load of clones to the left of my shape, like so. So it's a quick way to clone things. But what's nice about this is I literally can move them anywhere, so I can bring them right in, like so. Make steps if I wanted to make steps, or by using the D-pad up and down, I can make them bigger at one end, make them smaller by going the other way. If I use the D-pad left and right, it basically just stretches them. But then I can use, by holding down R2 or L2, sorry, and moving the left stick up and down, it'll let me rotate the shapes around, right? Or if I hold down L2 and the right stick, it will let me bend them any way I want. So I can make spiral staircases very easily. I can make it literally curl in on itself, like a scorpion's tail. Now what's the nice technique about this is, I will try. Okay, I'm going to show you now if I use a different shape. Say for example a pyramid shape. What I could do is I can add blend to it. You can obviously you can change all the points and make it a different shape pyramid. So I could make it like this shape. Make it bigger. Now if I add a bit of blend to it, okay, and now when I shrink it down a little bit, and if I use the same technique, stamp it down, now make a copy of it, you notice because it's still in the one, if you like, we haven't gone off this particular sculpture, so everything we're doing is kind of this piece of sculpture. I'll explain that in a minute. But now we just have to increase the number of copies by holding R2 and pressing left on the D-pad, or yeah, right on the D-pad, sorry. It'll increase the number of copies. Now we can make so many, we can make like literally loads of them, and then literally just blend them together. And if we turn it, we can just get really interesting shapes, because when you have blend on, it literally can make bendable lines the same way that the blend tool does. So we can turn it around. Okay. Now an interesting to notice is, I'm going to delete these for a second because I want to explain something. Every time we put down a sculpture, right, like a block like this, okay, we stamp it down, we can keep adding to this, and it's basically adding to this particular sculpture. So it's like stamping a different shape in the sculpture. So if I press the L1 and circle, this goes away and I come out of that sculpture. So this sculpture is made like one object, okay? And if I wanted to edit it, I would press L1 and X to go back into it, and I can add to this particular sculpture. So I can add this particular stamp, this brush if you like, put it down here like this, like this, like this, like this, turn it around, okay, add whatever I want to it, okay. And now if I come out of this L1 and circle, this whole thing is an object which we can move around, but it's all one sculpture made up out of multiple stamps, if you like, stamped pieces. And I can do the exact same thing. So I can go into this again, I can add all manner of weird shapes, whatever I want to add, like so, look like this. I can put a bit of blend onto it, going over here. I can make things blend together, make them really unusual, okay, do whatever I wanted, all these kind of weird things, okay. Here's a nice unusual looking shape. So L1 and circle will come out of this. Now have this all as a sculpture. I'm going to shrink it down just because it's easier to show, and I can literally do the exact same thing. I can copy this and make multiple copies like so, and then I can twist them around, and because it's an odd shape, different sides will have different kind of, if you like, different sides will have different things on them. I can move the right stick as well, or if I hold down R2 and move the direction of the, well in my case it is the 6-axis, but if you had it set to the sticks, you could use it that way, and you can move them around or move it in, rotate it around the camera, literally make all manner of weird shapes like so. Kind of looks like a load of men in a circle. Okay, so that's literally a way you can make like very detailed shapes, like you could do so many different things. Okay, so that's one way I can show that. Now I've deleted that, so I'm gonna start again. I'm gonna make a new shape, so I'm gonna start with a filled donut. Let me think. Okay, so I can make this, as I said, I can make this shape whatever I look like. I can even add different colors to it. So I can go to stamp it down, press in my touchpad, and it brings up a color wheel, so I can pick a different color, like say for example purple, and basically I can stamp in purple now, pick whatever color I want. I can even blend these colors together. So if I want to blend, it's going to stamp the shape down, but it will actually merge two colors. So you see you can merge them, and you can also work in like inverse by pressing the triangle. It's the same shape, and but it's also, it's going to actually cut away from the shape, like so, but it will cut away in the color I've selected, as you can see. Okay, now you have another option here, I'll show you now. If I select a shape again, this one here, okay, I go back, press my triangle again to put it back in the normal mode. Okay, go to this option here. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing here, I apologize. Hold on a second. What was I going to do? Okay, I go up to these options here at the top. No, I don't. I do apologize. Hold on a second. I'll delete that. Right, I'm going to pick a fill donut for a change. Okay. Now I have an option here when I'm doing the shapes. This option here, add or subtract. If I click on it, you'll get this little option here. And what that basically does is, if I try to draw now like this, I just stamp it down as I normally do. Okay, and if I go up to here and I hit this option here, it's going to basically let me cut out in a different shape. So basically, when I have the normal mode, it's this fill donut, and if I press the triangle, it's basically a fill donut. But if I click this option here, add or subtract, whatever shape I've currently selected is going to be like, okay, so if I'm in this negative mode and I select a cone, the negative shape is a cone, but if I press the triangle button, it's still going to be a fill donut. So you can literally pick the filled shape you want, or sorry, pick the positive shape you want and pick a different negative shape, and it works the same on color. So I can have this particular shape here as red, okay, like so. Okay, and now if I press this one here, click this option. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. Now I pick the negative shape, sorry about that, and I pick green. Okay, so the negative shape will cut out in green, as you can see. Okay, but then if I press the triangle button, it'll change to red, because that's the color I picked for that shape. So there's two little techniques you can use. Okay, now another option you have is a thing called kaleidoscope. What this will basically do is, whenever I stamp something down, like a red cube for example, okay, once I stamp it down, you're basically making the starting point for using an option called a kaleidoscope. Okay, so what will happen is, if I click down, if I first off select the kaleidoscope, let me show you that first, right? It's basically going to show me this, it's going to like make a number of copies around in a circle. It's going to make this number of copies, which is 10. Okay, so I'm going to reduce that down to show you even easier. Okay, so basically it's going to make five copies that I can move around of that particular shape. But the thing is, I have to actually make the first stamp to place the starting point. And what I can do is, I can use L2 and the left stick to rotate that shape around. It's easier to show you with less copies. I'll make 2 copies first thing, or 3 copies. Okay, I'll pick a different shape up here, and I'm going to pick this one here. Okay, so basically when you start off with, it's going to be flat like this. Okay, but I could change the angle, and it will basically, it's going to make every kaleidoscope copy at that angle. So say for example I make it flat to start with. Let me just select it flat. Okay, like so. And if I press X to stamp it down, or R2, now every copy is going to move out from that copy, if you know what I mean. And because I had 3 selected, it's basically going to show me 3. I can also change the angle. If I had a different shape, I can change the angle with L2 and the right stick. So I can rotate them around. Again, I can go over here and blend them into each other. Add some blend, like so. And they'll all blend in nicely to each other. Okay. I can rotate them around. And I can even do all the things. You can change the colors. So I can do that over here. Oh, sorry. I'll do that, then press the touchpad. Pick a different color, like green. Like so. And I can merge them all into one another. Okay. So I can basically do this. But now with Kaleidoscope, I'm going to delete this for a second to show you. Okay. I can also make a normal, how would I say, I can make a normal stamp first of all. So if I pick this wedge shape, oops, turn off Kaleidoscope for a second, right? I do that, do this, do this. But now I'm going to pick a different shape. So I'm going to pick a sphere. I'm going to make it a different color. I'm going to make it blue. Like so, okay? But now I'm going to put the Kaleidoscope on. Now because I'm in this group, I haven't actually left this group, it's going to make a Kaleidoscope, but the center is going to be the center of the group. So if you like, it's, even though I'm going to stamp it anywhere, I'll show you now. Put on Kaleidoscope. You see, it's actually towards the center of that group. So even though they're not this ball shape in the center, it could be any shape you like, it's still using the reference point from the center as the start of the Kaleidoscope. So then I can add around, like I can add like loads of copies. Say I put 20 for that. Okay, and you can see how detailed that would look. And I can do all the different effects. I can blend them again, which I tend to like doing. Okay, now if I wanted a complete circle, I could put the blend on up full. And you see, you're going to get pretty much a whole circle. Now, as you get wider, of course, because they're all balls, it will start to spread out. So all I would do is I would just increase the number of copies and go up here, make it something bigger, like so. Oops, sorry. Yeah, like so. I can then stamp it down. I can pick a different color if I wanted, say orange, like so. Go into it. Now negatively sculpt out. Oh, it's green because I had that mode selected, sorry. Well, I could add like red or orange to it. Make a nice blend. I could literally make something like this. Okay. Then I can go to the reverse. Pick a different color. Whatever, like maybe blue or something. Or yellow. Like so. I can cut out in yellow. I can add blend to it, and it will basically blend it in for me. So you can get loads of different shapes there. You can literally do you can literally make anything, which is really, really cool. So that's one thing you can do. That's how you can use the Kaleidoscope effectively. Okay. Now whenever you make any kind of sculpture, you have a grid. So if I was to turn on the grid, this is the basic grid they give you, like the default grid. So whenever you're making a sculpture or of anything, even a puppet, you should always turn off the Kaleidoscope for a second. You should always get in the habit of, when you stamp down your first shape, you have a shape made, you'll notice, oh, it actually worked in my case. Sometimes the line will be brown. Always like that. See the way it is now? So when that happens, always grab it. Usually it will happen when you move it off grid or when you change the angle of it. Okay, but if it does happen like that, okay, pressing R2 on the triangle or L2 on triangle will line it up to the grid, but it's going to line it up in relation to the grab point you picked. Okay, and you notice this green line, what that is very handy. What it is literally showing you, if I wanted to make a copy of this, I'll be able to line it up exactly on the same axis, like so. So it's going to show me that, okay, that if I move to the left, it's showing you the actual distance. So you could literally make things line up. And then if I move it in, it's going to show you. So if I was over here somewhere like this, I'd know instantly Now make sure you don't release the button at this stage. But I would know exactly like how far away or what, like if I'm not in line with this, because the green line is showing you like so. So that's a nice technique you can do. Okay, so give me 1 second. I have a message. I just want to check this message. Do apologize. Okay, let me see. I'm going to show a brief one of how to blend a pyramid. Right, so what we could do is, I think I know what he means. We could basically select this pyramid shape, okay? And I could put down, sorry, stamp it in place. Right. Okay, if we stamp this down. Now you notice that when I have the pyramid selected here, I get this brown line. So if I want to line it up to the grid, pyramid is a very awkward shape to use, but it'll basically put it or shape it in to fit in the grid. So where the grab point is on the pyramid, that's where it will line up to the particular point on the grid. So if I make this bigger, I make a big pyramid, I can bring it down like so and line it up again. Now you notice when I line it up, it's going to kind of make it fairly straight and in line. Now pyramid is an awkward shape to use, but okay, let me think about the best way of doing this. Okay. Now again, I'm not as 100% sure as in lining up a pyramid because I haven't really used one before. Oh, I'm going to delete that. Delete that. I'm going to put some blend on this pyramid. Select it. Go and pick blend. You can change the shape of it there if I wanted. Some blend on. Okay. So I'm going to delete all these for a second. Okay. So right. Start again. Okay. Let's pick a pyramid. Turn it around. Try and line it up a bit. Pyramid is actually one of these shapes that it's actually difficult to kind of do things with because it's just basically an awkward shape. So I could change the color, blend it in. So if I put some blend on it like so, I could basically do different kind of shapes with it. Now if I went over and go into it again. Now if I press touchpad, pick a different color like blue, dark blue, I can literally blend a couple of colors together. So I just can get some really, really unusually weird looking shapes. Also what I can do is I can mix colors. So I can bring up this, by pressing the touchpad, I can bring up this particular wheel and I can mix a couple of colors together. Simply pick the color you want here, like red. Go over here, hold down R2 and drag the color over till it goes onto this wheel. And you can see the way, the more I bring it into the center, the more I can get kind of a blend of the color. So on red, okay, I'm going to pick green as well. Bring it over gently, bring it in a bit more. So now I have this kind of color wheel here. What I can do is I can save this color or I can delete it. I want to save it. So basically what this is going to do is this will save as a color that you can pick, this color, okay? And it'll be exactly saved like that. So what I can do is if I click save, okay, I can then just clear the color, pick a different color like yellow, okay? And what I can do then is if I move that to the color wheel, I'm not actually going to select this, right? But I can press square. And if I go up here to the colors, you'll notice this particular color I made is here, okay? And when I select this up, like so, bring up the color wheel, you see the color we last selected is here. Now this color is very, very cool because I can basically paint in that color, and it's going to make, or I can draw a shape in that color, and it's going to basically be a blend of all those colors. So for example, if I was to select this like so, as I have it selected, okay, and now I start stamping a shape with this, I'm going to use cylinder. Okay, now when I stamp it down once, keep stamping it down, you'll notice the color is actually changing because of the way I had that selected. Again, I can use the blend to actually I can use the blend to make the color smoother. Okay, or I can do this option. If I press the touchpad, now when I have the color here, I literally hold down R2 and just literally grab the color and move it. I can spin it around, and you just do that by holding down R2 and dragging the color in the way you want to go. And literally when I try and paint now, you can see the color changing. So it's literally, or sorry, when I try to stamp, it's literally going to keep changing the color for me. I can go over here, I can add blend, like so. I can pick a different shape, say that one there. I can turn off the grid. Okay, and literally when I draw now, oops, sorry, when I draw now, it's going to like basically pick all the different colors, like so. So I want to increase blend again, because I didn't put any blend on it at all. Now when I draw, literally going to let me blend all the colors I had into each other, which is a very nice kind of technique that I can use. So that's another little technique you can use. Hold on, I'm going to delete all this now for a second. Okay, we leave all that there. Right, now let's see. Okay, now we're going to look at some other options here. We have all these ones where we can clone and we can paint. So these are all kind of options you have with the sculpting menu. Painting lets you paint on the surface of a particular shape. So I just click here and then draw a big circle like this. Okay, and now if I was basically to go here, pressing on tools, pressing X, moving over to the spray paint, press X on it, I can literally paint. It's the same way because I had that color selected, so I literally paint with the shape of the pen. So these shapes here, I can pick a different pen shape, like this cube. Now it's gone invisible because basically what that is it's gonna spray paint, as you can see, on the surface. So it's literally just coating the surface of the shape. So if I went like that, now the reason it's going all weird like that is because it's still cycling through all these colors. So if I go and pick just one color, say for example green, okay, a nice bright green, and I try to paint, it's literally going to let me paint the surface like so. And I can do all kind of manner of different colors and different shapes and everything that I want to do. And also then we have this option here, loosens. That is basically going to let me, if you like, whatever I'm brushing is going to be looser or tighter. So a good way to show you this is if I zoom in, okay, I paint over a particular shape, maybe pick a different color, might show you that way. Okay, yellow. It's very hard to see, but what I'm actually doing is where the pen is more loose, is drawing it more loosely than the rest of the shape. So I can literally paint. I can paint a paint stroke of looseness, if you like. Now obviously the color doesn't work. I did not. There's something I didn't know. The color doesn't work on it. I can change the strokes as well. Pick a brush. It's hard to see, but if you look at it, it's actually a different stroke than it is up here. Tricky to see on that, but So if I increase the looseness of the brush of the, well, that's for another tutorial. Okay, so let me see what else I have here. Right, another thing you have here is this thing called surface snap. What that does is, if I put that on and pick, I still have on the paintbrush, sorry, the spray paint, right, it will literally let me paint, one second, pick a shape, so this one here, yellow, go over here, click on spray paint, and make sure surface snap is turned on. And what this is basically going to let me paint, but the actual paint, the paint brush and stroke that I'm using is literally going to be surface snapped exactly onto the surface of the shape. So it literally means that it's not going to like let me paint and then where I can't actually paint on the surface. It's literally going to paint everything like this, literally all over the surface. So if I press square, I go to the options here for tools. I go back to picking my stamp shape, like so. Pick a different color. This one here, say for example purple. Okay. I'm back on the stamp shape. Now you notice because surface snap is still on, maybe that's not a good color, shape to explain with. You'll notice that it's actually surface snapping the shape onto the surface of this. So if I could easily just make that smaller and then just draw a line, and you notice it's going to snap it to the surface. Now the thing about it is, it's snapping it to the surface, but if I was to add on to this, it's going to snap it to the surface of this particular color here, you see? So if I was to make a big ball here, for example, okay, and shrink it down, it's surface snapping it to this particular shape, because initially it was this shape, but because surface snap is on, it's going to still surface snap it to this one. I can do the same in reverse. So I could do eyes, little mouth or something silly, give him a little nose. You can do a little face of that, but so that's a way you could do this surface snap. So it's very, very handy. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to delete this and go back to the center of the line, up to the center of the level again. Okay, and go through more options, modes, go back down to sculpt mode. Okay, we go through all these. Again, you have all these different shapes you can use, which can be really, really cool. Okay, let's see what other options we have here. Right, we have this one that lets you stretch the particular shape. It's the same way as using this edit shape, right? So you can move them or stretch them or clone them. So it goes down here. But we also have these two options called crop and cutout. What that will do is, if I was to make a shape like so, okay, I'm going to turn off surface snap. Sorry about that. Go to this option here. It's going to let me cut out. If I pick a shape, say for example, a sphere. Okay, what's a nice shape to use? Yeah, a sphere. Okay, make it big like so. And if I go to this one here, sorry. Now I can go to crop, which will mean that it's going to cut away all the outside. So if I wanted to make a shape like a sphere out of this, or an unusual shape, I can click on this option here. Where is it now? Crop. And you'll notice what it's going to do is, the shape that I'm cutting away from is going to be like if you fade it out. So it's going to show me that when I move over here, like so, that particular shape is going to cut out that's the circle, but it's going to cut it out relative to the shape. So if I, for example, click X on this, okay, oh, sorry, one second, and I come out of it, there you are, it's cut away the square and it's left me with the shape that was there. I could do it again on this particular shape. I can pick a cone like that, go into this shape, cut out just a little corner, press the X button. Okay, you notice the shape is actually there now, like this. Press the circle, come out of it, and I have this shape. Now it's cut away everything, okay? So in other words, it's just leave me with the particular piece I have. So I'm going to undo this, delete this, try a different shape. Pick a, for example, a cone. Okay, pick a different color just for the sake of it. Purple cone, make it big, like so. Snap it down. Now I want to go to pick another cost. Leave the cone and pick, say, what other color would be interesting? Orange again. Okay, an orange color. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to select this option here, which is cut out. Now the difference with this one is what it's actually going to do is it's not going to delete anything, but it's going to cut the two shapes. So it's going to cut out of this shape, this particular shape, which is quite interesting. Okay, so now you'll notice the shape is actually cut out. So if I take this one away, oops, sorry, my mistake. Scope out first. I can take that shape away, and it's actually cut out in the color that it was selected. So I could make a space shuttle or something. Okay, I could further divide this again if I wanted. I could go back to the square, go back to tools. Sorry, my mistake. I can select the object like so. Go back to a different shape. I'm going to pick a donut. Okay, I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to pick, say, for example, green. This shade of green. Okay, and I want to go into this one. I'm going to cut out again, like so, and I can go into the actual shape, like this. So I can get some really, really weird, unusual shapes, which is really cool. Cut that out, scope out, and now you can see this. You can see the actual cutout line in it. So I could take that away. So I can get some really, really unique shapes, like that. And now, because of my modes that I was saying I could use, I can simply select that shape or copy it, make a load of different copies, like so. And then I can rotate them around. I can make some really unusual things. So there you go. So that's a quick example of more advanced like sculpting techniques that you can use. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back soon with another tutorial. So take care and stay safe. Bye bye.